Everyone, this is Mr. Cheng, and in this video, we're going to take a look at CFrame and CFrame angles, and we'll also take a look at a while loop that is always true. So we're going to take a look and create a coin that spins. So inside of Roblox Studio, let's go ahead and add a cylinder. And our cylinder is kind of over there, so I just dragged over here now. Now, I'm going to use the scale tool here, and I'm going to kind of make it in the size of a coin. And I think that looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and play test it for a moment. And I want it about the size of my avatar. So that looks pretty good. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this to coin. And then I'm going to change the brick color over here. I'm going to change that to new yellow. And then I'm going to change the material here to metal. And then I'm going to go ahead and anchor the part like so. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a script to our coin. Actually, I'm going to name that coin 1, and I'm going to add a script here. And let's go ahead and add the script. So we've got local part equal workspace dot coin 1. We've got while true do, and we've got part.cframe, which I'm going to explain in a few moments. CFrame times CFrame dot angles, and we're going to start off with just to give you a heads up, this is going to be X, Y, and Z. So we're going to change the Z value here, and we do need to wait. And so let's go ahead and try this out here for a moment. And if we look at our coin, you'll see here that it's now kind of rotating, kind of flipping the way that you would expect a coin to flip. Now, as I noted before, you do need to use the wait. Again, the wait pauses the script, and this version of the wait pauses the script for a minimum amount of time. Otherwise, let's go ahead and just try this out for 1 second here. If you do not wait a minimum amount of time, Studio actually thinks this happens too fast. And if you notice here, it's already getting stuck. And we're going to get a message here, as we got in a previous video, that the maximum allowed execution time was exhausted. So you do have to wait a minimum amount of time while using your while true do loop here. Now, just to explain a little bit about what we're working with, CFrame stands for coordinate frame, and it's a data type that describes a 3D position and orientation. CFrame is made up of positional component and a rotational component. Now, CFrame also includes essential arithmetic operations for working with 3D data on Roblox, and we'll see CFrame throughout this course as we work in three-dimensional objects. So CFrame.angle changes the rotational angles in radians of the X, Y, and Z axes. So again, we change the Z value over here. And again, just to wrap your head around our coin here, the Y-axis is the green arrow over here. The Z-axis is this blue arrow over here. And the X-axis is going to be our red arrow over here. And we're going to try to change all three values to see how our coin kind of changes with the different X, Y, and Z angles. Now, you can also use math.rad to convert degrees to radians. So the equivalent of the code that I just wrote would be something like math.rad 2.86. So feel free to use degrees if you like them better than radians. So again, as we saw, changing the Z value made the coin flip. Now, let's duplicate our coin so that we can try the other axes. So I've got our next one here. And again, let's go ahead and rename this. We're going to rename this to coin 2 here. And inside of our script here, let's change that to coin 2. Let's also make sure it's not in the exact same position. Let's have it lined up. So this is our second one right over here. And this time around, we'll leave our Z value at 0. But this time around, let's try to change our Y value. So now we're changing our Y value. Now going back to our picture here, our Y value is the green arrow over here. So let's see what happens when we run our code now. So that second coin, we look here. So we've got the first coin here is kind of flipping, and the second coin here is kind of going and kind of like spinning. Okay. So again, this is what happens when we change the Y value here. It's kind of spinning on its side. Now let's try the third version here. So again, let's go ahead and duplicate this. And again, now I've got coin 2 again. So I'm going to change that to coin 3. I'm going to change inside of our script. I'm going to change that to coin 3. And again, I'm going to set that to 0. And I'm going to change that to 0.05. Now, again, I'm going to move our coin, our third coin, I'll move that over here. So I've got 1, 2, and then coin number 3 over here. And, I'll move my spawn location like over there so we can kind of have that like so. So again, if we change our X value, going back to our picture here, our X value is kind of this red arrow kind of over here. So that's changing the X. So let's see how that now changes when we run our scripts. Okay, so let's look like super close here about what's happening to this particular coin. So if you notice here, I'm trying to get really close here. If you notice here now, our coin is kind of spinning almost like a wheel. So it's like spinning round and round and round. And that's because we changed the X value. Now again, this was the Y value over here. And this first one here was our Z value. All right, so the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to duplicate another part. And we'll call this one coin 4. And again, inside of our scripts, let's change that to coin 4 here. And again, let's select it here. So now we've got a coin 4 right over there. And just to note for yourself that rotational angles can also have negative degrees. And just because we want to have a little bit of fun here, let's go ahead and change the X, Y, and Z all at once and see what happens. So let's go back to our script over here. And again, let's go ahead and make negative numbers. So it's kind of, if you think about it, kind of like the reverse spin. And, just because we want to have a lot of fun here, let's see what happens when we change all 3 at once and run our code here. So when we run our code, let's take a look at that fourth one over here. So now we've got some crazy kind of stuff here. So this coin is now spinning on all 3 different axes all at the same time. All right. I hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next video.